We don't marry to be happy. The relentless pursuit of happiness in marriage may be sabotaging the relationship itself. It might seem counterintuitive, but the truth is that many enter into marriage believing it is the key to happiness, when in reality, this mindset can be the greatest trap. If you shift your approach, and instead of seeking your own happiness in your partner, focus on making the other person happy, it changes the dynamics of the relationship. This has the power to reveal a deeper and more genuine happiness than you have ever experienced. What emerges is a fascinating paradox. Instead of seeking happiness, you find it in the act of giving. Let's explore how this approach can transform not only your relationship, but also your own view of happiness. Number 1, if you want to be happy, don't get married. The pursuit of happiness is one of the greatest misconceptions of modern marriage. Those who enter this union expecting to find an eternal fairy tale soon realize that the happy ending doesn't come for free. Contrary to what many believe, marriage is not the magical solution to all emotional problems or a guarantee of a fulfilled life. Those who place the responsibility for their happiness on marriage end up frustrated, discovering that happiness is not a gift received but a daily achievement. If the desire to be happy is the primary reason for marriage, then it's better not to get married. The truth is that happiness is a state of mind that depends much more on the individual than on the relationship. People often place unrealistic expectations on their partners, believing that marriage will fill all emotional voids. This common mistake puts unnecessary pressure on the relationship, undermining the marriage from the start. Therefore, if happiness is the goal, it's crucial to rethink the purpose of getting married. Marriage is not an escape from one's own problems, but a shared journey that will be full of challenges. It's essential to understand that happiness should not be the main motivation for marriage. Marriage requires maturity, sacrifice, and a deep understanding that the other person will not always be able to meet all needs. Therefore, before thinking about marriage, it's crucial to seek a happiness that doesn't depend on others. This is the key to avoiding many future disappointments and opens the door to a true understanding of what it means to share a life with someone. Number 2, the mistake is getting married, seeking to be happy. The biggest mistake someone can make is entering marriage believing it will bring the happiness they so desperately desire. This thinking is a cruel trap because it turns marriage into a desperate search for something that, in reality, should come from within. The truth is that no one, absolutely no one, can make another person happy all the time. And this expectation is not only naive, but also dangerous because it places an unsustainable burden on the partner, dooming the relationship to failure before it even begins. Those who marry with the sole aim of being happy are, in fact, signing up for frustration. It's an illusion to believe that marriage will fill the gaps that life itself has left. This childish mentality ignores the fact that happiness is a personal construction that cannot be outsourced. Turning a spouse into an emotional crutch is a surefire recipe for disaster. When seen as the path to happiness, marriage is nothing more than a golden cage that will sooner or later suffocate those involved. Therefore, the fatal error lies in believing that happiness depends on the other person. Those who marry with this idea are merely feeding a vicious cycle of dissatisfaction. Instead of seeking happiness through marriage, it's necessary to face the truth. Marriage is not about you being happy, but about being prepared to build something bigger, something that requires sacrifice, strength, and a clear vision that happiness is an internal state, not a prize won by saying "I do." If you don't understand this, marriage will not be a blessing, but a burden too heavy to carry. Number 3, the secret lies in marrying not to seek happiness, but to seek to make your partner happy. This way, happiness will find you. The true secret to a successful marriage lies in reversing the selfish logic that dominates so many relationships. Instead of relentlessly pursuing your own happiness, the key is to focus on making your partner happy. This act of altruism is not just a noble gesture, but an infallible strategy for genuine happiness to find you. When both partners enter the relationship with the commitment to prioritize the well-being of the other, a virtuous cycle is created where happiness becomes a natural consequence, not a forced objective. This principle, though simple, is powerful. Imagine a relationship where, instead of demanding, you offer. Instead of expecting, you give. This is the kind of mentality that builds strong and lasting relationships based on respect and genuine love. What many don't realize is that by making the other person happy, you become the source of the happiness you seek. And by doing so, the relationship transforms into a space of mutual growth, where happiness is cultivated and shared rather than demanded and expected. Therefore, if you want happiness to find you, stop chasing it. Focus on being the reason for someone's smile, on being the support during tough times, on being the reason the other person feels loved and valued. This is the true magic of marriage. By forgetting yourself and dedicating yourself to your partner's well-being, you discover that happiness, the kind that is real and lasting, arrives without you having to ask. In the end, what was meant to be a solitary quest becomes a shared journey where both come out winning. Number 4, we are inherently hedonistic, and this destroys relationships. We enter seeking someone to make us happy. We place the enormous responsibility of fulfillment on the other person, expecting them to turn our lives into what we want them to be. We expect someone else to complete us. Human nature is deeply hedonistic, and it is precisely this trait that erodes so many relationships. From the start, we are conditioned to seek immediate pleasure and satisfaction, and we bring this destructive mentality into our relationships. We enter a marriage or relationship expecting the other person to be the answer to all our frustrations and insecurities. This expectation is not only unrealistic, but also a true death sentence for any relationship. Placing the responsibility of making us happy on our partner is an unfair and unsustainable burden. This type of thinking is not only selfish but also childish. Believing that another person can and should fulfill us is a way of escaping the responsibility we have for our own happiness. Turning your partner into a savior, someone who should fill all your voids, is the quickest path to failure. Not only are you condemning the relationship, but you're also destroying the possibility of personal growth. It's crucial to wake up to the fact that no one has the obligation to fulfill our dreams and desires except ourselves. Thus, by placing the responsibility for our happiness on someone else, we are not just sabotaging the relationship, but also ourselves. This vicious cycle of unrealistic expectations is a trap that leads to resentment and disappointment. If we don't change this hedonistic mentality, we'll continue to watch our relationships fall apart, one after another. The truth is harsh, but necessary. Personal fulfillment does not come from another person, but from within. Until this is understood, we will keep falling into the same trap over and over again. Number 5, enter a relationship already happy and fulfilled, and watch the magic happen. The true magic happens when you enter a relationship already complete and fulfilled. When you're happy with yourself, your life, and your achievements, the relationship becomes a bonus, not the source of your satisfaction. Most people make the mistake of entering a relationship carrying frustrations and dissatisfactions, expecting their partner to fill these gaps. But the reality is that those who come into a relationship seeking completeness are doomed to fail because no other human being can do that for you. Being happy and fulfilled before entering a relationship is like planting a tree in fertile soil. When you are at peace with yourself, you become a better and more stable partner, capable of offering genuine love without the need to get something in return. Internal happiness is the foundation that allows a relationship to thrive in a healthy and balanced way. So instead of seeking someone to heal your wounds, focus on healing yourself. This will transform the relationship into a space of mutual growth, where both can flourish together. When you enter a relationship already fulfilled, you allow the true magic to happen. Love and connection are not forced, but come naturally as a consequence of your own completeness. Shared happiness is a reflection of your personal happiness, and this synergy creates a solid foundation for a lasting relationship. So before you seek someone for your life, make sure you have already found happiness within yourself. Only then will you see the relationship turn into a source of joy, not dependency and insecurity. Number 6. Enter a relationship solely to make the other person happy, and you will see that the most sincere, honest, and real happiness will find you. The true essence of a successful relationship lies in entering it with the intention of making the other person happy. When your priority is to bring joy and satisfaction to your partner, you are not only cultivating a deeper and more genuine relationship, but also creating an environment where true happiness can flourish. Instead of seeking personal satisfaction, the real magic happens when you dedicate yourself to making the other person feel loved and valued. The happiness that comes from this dedication is much more authentic and enduring. This principle is simple yet powerful. Imagine a relationship where you are not constantly asking for something but offering instead. Instead of demanding, you give. This creates a dynamic where both partners feel fulfilled and happy, not because of what they receive, but because of what they offer to each other. This approach turns the relationship into a constant source of happiness, where one's satisfaction is the source of the other's. It's an exchange that, unlike the expectation of receiving, is based on the pleasure of giving. Therefore, by focusing on making the other person happy, you are actually aligning with the natural flow of true happiness. When you genuinely care about your partner's well-being, reciprocal happiness emerges almost magically. This way of loving is the purest and truest because it is not based on demands or personal needs, but on the authentic desire to see the other person thrive. And in this process, you will discover that the happiness you were seeking is finally within your reach, like an unexpected gift that comes from the generosity of your own heart.